from a soon-to-be jammed but already jubilant Shea Stadium in New York City. This is Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell, and welcome to the third game of the 1969 World Series. A series that's all even. Baltimore won the Saturday opener 4-1, and the New York Mets, the Amazin Mets, took the 2-1 thriller on Sunday. Today's game is brought to you by Chrysler Corporation, engineering with care. Your host for today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. The Hartford Insurance Group and Hartford agents and brokers everywhere. Gillette, we have a new adjustable razor for more comfortable shave. The makers of Winston, Salem, and Camel cigarettes. And by STP Corporation, makers of STP oil and gas treatment. Well, the weather forecaster this morning was saying it is likely to rain this afternoon in New York. It is cloudy and overcast now with slightly ominous clouds off to our left, down the left field line, and over the back of the stadium. But, of course, they hope to get this third game of the World Series in, and chances are they will. Baltimore today will be starting much the same lineup that they've been starting all along, and this the third game. Don Buford, the switch hitter, leads it off and plays in left field. Paul Blair is in center. Frank Robinson, injured in batting practice on Sunday, but all right, will be in right field. Boog Powell at first base. Brooks Robinson having a great series at third base. Ellie Hendricks, who caught the first game, is back again today against the right-hander Gary Gentry. Davey Johnson is at second base. Mark Belanger, the shortstop. Jim Palmer, who had the only American League no-hit ball game of the year, no-hitting Oakland back on August 13th. He also won 11 straight on the year and 16-4 on the season for the best average in the American League, the starting pitcher for the Orioles this afternoon. The New York Mets, they are back home. And for the first time, with the right-hander Palmer facing them, they'll be able to go to many of their left-handers, many of whom provide the power and took them to 3 straight over the Atlanta Braves in the league championships. Tommy Agee leads it off and plays in center field. Wayne Garrett makes his first start at third base. Cleon Jones, the .340 hitter, in left field. Art Shamsky, used as a pinch hitter one time in the opener, is back and will play right field starting his first series game. He's 28 years old today. Ken Boswell, the hottest hitter throughout September for the Mets, will be at second base, batting fifth. Ed Kranepool, the left-handed swinging first baseman, bats sixth. Jerry Grody, the catcher. Bud Harrelson is the shortstop. And rookie Gary Gentry, 13-12 on the year, is the pitcher. He was 23 years old on October the 6th. Gentry does have problems with control. He struck out 154, but walked more than half that many. He walked 81. Now, a word here when we said that the New York Mets have come home, and in just a moment they're about to introduce the Mets, and you will hear what kind of fans they have here at Shea Stadium. Until the end of July, and here comes the roar for the Mets. Until the end of July, the Mets were 27-25 here at Shea Stadium. But since the end of July, in regular season, the Mets have won 25 and lost only 5 in Shea Stadium. And if you want to throw in the league divisional game against Atlanta, which they also won to clinch it, they are 26-5 since the end of July. So when you talk about a home field for the Mets, since July at least, it has meant a great deal. Wayne Garrett now being introduced. We'll repeat again. The lights are on, but Bill, it doesn't look as bad weather-wise as it did when we first started talking.
Jim, in connection with the weather, as you remember in games 1 and 2 at Baltimore, there was no wind situation, really a prevailing situation that had any determining factor on balls hit deep to the outfield. But right now, we do have a fairly stiff wind. It has been blowing straight out, and right now it is blowing across the left field line and out to the right field corner.
We had a home run in that first ball game by Don Buford, first man up for the Orioles in the bottom of the first inning. And in Sunday's ball game, Don Clendenin went with the pitch to the opposite field and hit a home run. They are the only two. Baltimore is a very tough ballpark in which to hit home runs. The Mets Stadium is no snap, but certainly, Bill, much easier to hit for the distance than it is in your home park of Baltimore.
Jim, down the left and right field foul sides at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, as you know, it is 309 feet to the fence. Here at New York Shea Stadium, it is 341 feet down left and also down right. To straightaway center field, it is exactly the same here at Shea Stadium as it was back in Baltimore, 410 feet. The power alleys are somewhat comparable, 371 feet to both the left and the right center field pockets.
Well, they have booths outside selling standing room only tickets to this, the third game of the World Series, the first time ever for the Mets, the first time at Shea Stadium. And we are going to have a capacity crowd as far as seating is concerned, but also we'll have them standing in the aisles. And in just a moment, we'll have the playing of our national anthem. They are introducing all of the New York Mets teams to this, their loving home fans.
Jim, the two of us have been talking about opposites and similarities. Where there is a great similarity internally in these two ball clubs. From a psychological standpoint, both these clubs are loose ball clubs. They are both happy clubs. Now, somebody listening to a statement like that said, well, when you're winning, why aren't you happy and why aren't you loose? But both these clubs all season long, I'm sure, especially the Mets in August and September, had a lot of fun. And that's the way you play the game. The more fun you have, obviously, the more you enjoy the season. And both have had a lot of fun off the field as well as on the field.
Now, Steve Lawrence will sing and lead the crowd in singing with our national anthem. Back with more pregame color right after this message.
Let's do Yankee Doodle. Yankee Doodle. 1, 2. Down. Riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. What did he call it? Macaroni.
After a child has been in a bad accident, how can an insurance company help him to laugh again? The Hartford knows that money alone can't do it, but people can. Doctors, specialists, therapists when they're needed, to treat the injuries, to soothe the shock. And getting them there fast can also help. At the Hartford, we know it's often the kind of help you bring in at the start that determines whether or not there'll be a happy ending. Insurance by the Hartford. We try to keep things simple.
Along with Jim Simpson, this is Bill O'Donnell at New York Shea Stadium. And right now, we pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This 1969 World Series game is brought to you in part by Saratoga Vichy and Saratoga Ginger Ale. Sit back and relax with the Fizz Kids from Saratoga. WGY Schenectady.
Well, the young man who was a great hero in the uniform years ago of the Brooklyn Dodgers, namely catcher Roy Campanella, and just as much a hero in later years in civilian clothes, right back of home plate, being wheeled off in his chair and to a very special seat here at Shea Stadium. Roy Campanella has thrown out the first ball for Game 3 of the World Series here at Shea Stadium. The umpires in this third game will work as follows. The American League's Larry Knapp will be behind home plate. Shag Crawford of the National League will be at first base. The American League's Lou DeMura, by the way, working his first World Series. Lou DeMura will be at second base. The third base umpire from the National League will be Lee Wire. Guarding the left field foul line will be Hank Storr of the American League. And the umpire down the right field foul side will be Frank Sikori of the National League. When the Mets leap out of their first base dugout, and here they come, the Mets will go out defensively this way. They'll have Wayne Red Garrett at third base. Bud Harrelson is the Mets shortstop. At second base is Ken Boswell. Big Ed Kranepool is the first baseman. Patrolling left field will be Cleon Jones, a man with a great deal of range, both coming in on short fly balls and deep to the fences. Tommy Agee is in center. The right fielder is Art Shamsky. Jerry Grody will be the Mets catcher, as he has been in the previous two ball games. And the right-handed Mets starter will be Gary Gentry. Gentry, 23 years old, 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. Gentry, for Gil Hodges during 1969, made 35 starts. He and Tom Seaver both made the most starts on the Mets ball club. Seaver, like Gentry, also made 35. As far as Gentry is concerned, his earned run average was just under 3.5 runs a ball game. Among his 35 starts, Gentry completed 6 games. He won 13 and he lost 12. Perhaps one of Gentry's biggest wins was to shut out the St. Louis Cardinals on the 24th of September. And that ball game was held here at New York Shea Stadium when he pitched a 4-hitter. When he beat the Cardinals and also gave the Mets the Eastern Division title in the National League. Through the month of September, Gentry was extremely effective. He won 4 of 5 decisions. In Gentry's last outing, he was not effective. That was in the third game of the National League Championship Series against the Atlanta Braves. And that third game was held here at Shea. Gentry started the third game, did not get past the third inning, gave up 2 runs and 5 hits to the Braves, and then had to be yanked. Catcher Jerry Grody now has fired out to his second baseman, Boswell at second base. We are ready to go. Gentry will take on Don Buford, Paul Blair, and Frank Robinson in the top of the first inning. The Orioles won Game 1, 4-1. The Mets won Game 2, 2-1. Game 3, Shea Stadium, New York, and with pleasure to tell you all about it, here is Jim Simpson.
Thank you, Bill O'Donnell. Don Buford, the switch hitter, batting left-handed against the right-handed Gary Gentry. Buford hit .291 on the year, 248 in the World Series. Both hits coming in the first game, a home run, and he drove in a couple of runs. Hit a vicious line drive in the third inning of Sunday's game, and Harrelson robbed him. Gentry's ready. Fastball is high. Ball 1 to Buford. Blair is on deck. The lights are on. The temperature in the mid-70s here at Shea Stadium in New York. An overcast day. Rain 60% chance forecast this morning, but I understand that percentage has gone down a bit. Gentry again ready for a second pitch. Goes hard again. Buford fouls it at the plate. It's 1-1. And by the way, for all of our armed forces overseas, Bill O'Donnell and I welcome you to our broadcasts of the World Series and wish you good luck wherever you are. Gentry towing the rubber now and staring into Grody. Wayne Garrett in on the grass at third base. Buford does have a lot of speed. A slow breaking pitch, the first one he's thrown. And Buford swung and missed for strike 2. 1-2 to Buford.
Jim, Gentry used the same kind of pitch against Buford that Kuzman used so often in that second game, that off-speed breaking pitch which made the fastball that much more effective.
And he struck him out on it in the first inning of that second game. Comes back with another breaking pitch and strikes him out. May have have been guessing fastball. That's the way he struck out Sunday. Here's Paul Blair. Blair is 1 for 7. Has walked in the first game and was picked off first base, and his one hit came in the 7th of Sunday's game and broke up the no-hitter of Jerry Koosman. Blair, right-handed batter, hit 26 home runs, drove in 76 during the regular season. Gentry throws, breaking pitch off the corner, and it's ball 1. Aside from our armed services throughout the world, we're being heard in such places as Colombia, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Panama, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Curacao, Aruba, Bermuda, Mexico. We say hello to all of you. Off the corner with the fastball. It's 2-0 now to Paul Blair. With the hitless for the series, Frank Robinson kneeling on deck. There's not a spot in Shea Stadium. It's fouled back. And it's 2-1. Blair went for a high fastball and didn't get it. Fouled it off the screen and back to home plate. There's not a spot here in Shea Stadium for anybody else. Gentry staring into Blair, and it is catcher Grody. Now throws. Big, slow breaking curve, and Blair had made up his mind to bunt. Bunted the ball out in front of the plate and fouled it back. And it's 2-2 with 1 down, no score in the top of the first of this, the third game of the 1969 World Series. Now with 2 strikes, Garrett backs up at third base. They play Blair straight away. And pretty deep in right. Breaking pitch, hit high in the air and off to the right, it'll make the seats. Count stays at 2-2. Billy Hunter's the coach over at third base for the Orioles. George Staller at first base. Gentry shakes off a sign, now goes into the windup. 2-2 pitch, another breaking pitch, and way out in front of it, and fouls it down the third base line and off the box seats. Gentry back again with a low fastball. It's 3-2. Shamsky in right field, as we said, deeper than what most American League teams will play him, and Garrett is farther off the line. Back with a fastball, hit high in the air and deep in center field, but Agee only goes back a couple of steps as it really climbs high. Now with the wind, has to go to his left and takes it for the second out. And this brings up Frank Robinson, 0 for 7 for the series. But Robinson, in the first inning of Sunday's game, sent Ron Swoboda deep in right center field, 390 feet away, and then lined deep to Agee in the 7th inning. In game number 1, he drove Agee deep in the 5th inning. So Robinson has been hitting the ball, but right at somebody. 2 down now in the top of the first, and Gentry ready to throw to the right-handed Frank Robinson. Fastball, and he's floated right by him, strike 1. Gentry's not considered the overpowering type fastball pitcher as Jim Palmer is. Will mix his pitches a little bit more. But when right, and when he has his control, as his 13 wins in his rookie year test, he's good. Back with another fastball, but it's low, and it's 1-1. The Met fans thought it was at the knees. Crane pulled at first, Boswell at second, Harrelson at short, Garrett at third, Jones in left, Agee in center, Shamsky in right, Grody behind the plate, and Gentry ready to throw on 1-1. Back with a breaking pitch, it's low and away in the dirt, and it's 2-1. Gary, when he has missed today, has missed low. The ball hasn't been riding up on him, as many fastball pitchers will find it does when they lose their control. Back with the 2-1 pitch, and here's another curveball that breaks down in the dirt and bounces past Grody. And it's 3-1. Well, he struck out Buford on a slow curve, worked Blair to 3-2 before he flied to Agee in rather deep center field, and now he has Frank Robinson at 3-1. And let's see on 3-1 with the dangerous Frank Robinson. Does he go to his fastball or does he go to that breaking pitch? Comes in with the fastball and he swings and misses. Strike 2, 3-2. So Gentry not afraid to challenge the dangerous Frank Robinson with his fastball. 2 out on the top of the first. There's no score. Gentry throwing on 3-2, inside and high, but Robinson went for it and fouled it back. And that was probably a little bit more inside and a little bit higher than what Gentry would like to have thrown to Frank Robinson. Frank took batting practice yesterday, did not run. Matter of fact, his doctor didn't even want him to take batting practice because of that severe bruise on his instep. Gentry ready again. And throws fastball low, and there's the first base run of the ball game as Robinson reaches for the walk.
Back in the fourth position. First baseman.
And that brings up the dangerous Boog Powell. Powell hit .304 on the season with 37 home runs and 121 RBIs. He's 1 for 7 here. And that was a single on a 2-2 pitch in the first inning of the first game. Gentry, I am sure, has read the book on Boog Powell, which says that he likes to hit the fastball. Koosman was backing him out Sunday with the breaking pitches. Slider, and this ball goes down to Boswell at second. He will not go to second, goes on to first for the third out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left in the middle of the first. Baltimore nothing with New York coming to bat.
Country soft, country fresh. That's the taste you get with Super King Size Salem 2. Try America's favorite menthol taste, made longer.
You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem. You can take Salem out of the country, but you can't take the country out of Salem.
Back with you again at New York Shea Stadium. We're in the middle of the first inning, no score. Gentry faced 4 Oriole batters, retired 3 of the 4, and only walked Frank Robinson. Defensively, the Orioles will set up behind Palmer with Boog Powell at first base, Dave Johnson at second, Mark Belanger at short, like Harrelson, the glue to the infield. Harrelson was the glue all season long to the Mets infield, and Belanger held that distinction for the Orioles. At third base, they call him the vacuum cleaner with the glove, Brooks Robinson, who made some outstanding plays in both games 1 and 2 back in Baltimore. In left field, it will be Don Buford. In center field, who many consider the very best fielding center fielder in the American League, namely Paul Blair, and the right fielder, Frank Robinson. The Oriole catching will be done by Elrod Hendricks, who caught the opening game of the World Series. Palmer's on the mound. He won 16. He lost 4 during the regular season. In the Mets, bottom of the first inning, it will be Agee, Garrett, and Jones. Here's Jim Simpson.
All right, Bill. And Tommy Agee steps in looking for his first hit. He is 0 for 8 and takes ball 1 from Jim Palmer. Agee has struck out 4 times. And this is the man that let the Mets offense go. Fastball catches the outside corner from Palmer, and it's 1-1. Palmer, as we told you, won 16 and lost 4. Had 6 shutouts, including a no-hitter, and considering the fact he only started 23 times, that is quite a record. First breaking pitch that he's thrown, slow curve, is outside and away, and it's 2-1 to Agee. To be followed by Garrett and Jones. And now the Mets come to bat for the first time in the World Series before their home fans. Fastball, deep center field. Paul Blair going back, looking over his shoulder, looking up. Gone. confetti flies throughout Shea Stadium. Signs saying Met power are up. As Agee met the challenge of Jim Palmer's fastball and drilled it over the center field wall 410 feet away. Wayne Garrett takes inside from Palmer. And for the second time in World Series history, the Mets are leading in the ball game, and for the second time, the Orioles are trailing in the game. They never trailed in the Dodger series. A curveball is over, and it's strike two to Garrett, seeing his first action in this World Series.
Jim, we've had a pattern in the first game at Shea as we had the pattern in the first game at Baltimore. The leadoff batter for the home club with a home run.
Foul down the left field line. May make the seats. Brooks Robinson goes down to see and sees it drop in the temporary box seats along the left field line. Still two strikes to Rain Red Garrett, who had a home run in the championship series against Atlanta. After the Mets had fallen behind, Garrett put them out in front. Fine third baseman. 1-0, New York. Fastball from Palmer, and he's called out of there. Garrett is caught looking. And to show you how quick Palmer is, that was a two-strike count, and Garrett never got the bat off his shoulder. Here is Cleon Jones, hitting .340 for the year, and in the series is 1 for 8. Buford made a fine catch on him on the third inning of Sunday's game with 2 men on base and no score. Well, Tommy Agee, if you are just joining us, hit a fastball to Palmer's, a 2-1 count, and drilled it over the center field wall. We're in the last of the first inning with 1 out, and it's 1-0. The Mets in this all-even World Series at a game apiece. Cleon Jones, the right-handed batter, 12 home runs on the year, can pull the ball with power, but prefers to go with the pitch. So therefore, very often will hit to right field. Big sweeping curve, but it's outside, and it's ball one. To Jones. The lineup that Hodges is using today is the one in which he swept the Braves 3 straight. Back with the fastball, but it's high. The Mets seem to feel that when Palmer begins to miss with his fastball, it rises and rises out of the strike zone. They want to lay off those pitches to begin with to see how he does. Agee challenged him, of course. There's a good fastball on the outside corner. Strike, and it's 2-1. Agee challenged that fastball and really put it out of here. Blair started, ran maybe 20 steps, and just stopped and watched it disappear. Skies have lightened up. The lights are on. Fastball, deep right center field. Blair is over. Robinson is there. Robinson takes it at the edge of the warning track, about 385 feet away. 2 down.
Jim, when both Blair and Frank Robinson went to that right center field warning track, Frank Robinson raised up the right hand. In this big ballpark, and it always has a lot of noise, sometimes it is very difficult for one outfielder to hear the other one call him off. So Robinson did the right thing. He raised up the hand, and he called Blair off with a hand rather than with his voice.
Here's Art Shamsky, left-hander, taking a curve in the dirt for ball one. Shamsky has seen action before. In the 9th inning, with men on first and second of the 4-1 ball game on Saturday, Shamsky came up and hit the first pitch and grounded out to end the ball game. Here's a drive to right field on the fastball. Back goes Robinson to the warning track, stands there and has it for the third out. But what shots they hit off the fastball of Jim Palmer. 1 run on Agee's home run. The only hit, no errors, and none left. At the end of 1, the Mets won. The Orioles, nothing.
If you want a car that makes it, Plymouth makes it. It's the flash that lights the photograph when you take it. It's the new affair that's starting up.
If you want luxury at a Plymouth price, Plymouth makes the Fury.
It's the greatest new adventure you can find. It's a state of mind.
32 new Fury models on a wider stance with big, smooth looks. If you want to move into the 70s in style, Plymouth makes it.
Plymouth makes it. If you want a car that makes it. Plymouth makes it.
We're going now to the top of the second inning, and the Mets have poured ahead of the Orioles in Game 3 of the World Series by a score of 1-0 on the leadoff bottom of the first inning home run directly over the center field fence by Tommy Agee. To begin the bottom of the second inning, it will be Brooks Robinson against Gentry. Jim Simpson again.
Brooks Robinson, 1 for 8, a single drove in a run. The only run the Orioles got on Sunday. Gentry is ready to work now with a 1-0 lead. His fastball is outside and low, and it's ball 1. Robinson, 1 for 8, and of course has gobbled up everything at third base. And on the opening game day, he hit 2 line shots, both of them caught. Fouls this one at the plate, and it's 1-1. So Brooks has been making contact, and of course he had a fabulous league championship series over the Minnesota Twins. He was 4 for 12 with a home run. Check that. He was 7 for 14 against Atlanta. Fastball misses outside from Gentry, and it's 2-1. Robinson to be followed by Ellie Hendricks, making his second series appearance. The Orioles now playing catch-up baseball. Gentry back with a breaking pitch. On 2 hops to Harrelson at shortstop, fires on to first, and has Brooks by half a dozen feet. That'll bring up Ellie Hendricks. Hit .244 this year, 1 for 3, and scored a run in the only game he played in the World Series on Saturday. Left-handed batter, and has a lot of power. Hendricks, on the basis of having led the Mexican League with 41 home runs a couple of years ago, was picked up by the Orioles. Was with them last year, and this is his second year in the big leagues. Gary Gentry ready to throw. Big curve that just simply does not come in over the plate. Stays outside and high, and it's ball 1. Hendricks, 28 years old. Born in St. Thomas. Back with the fastball, and this is right at the knees. Fine pitch from Gary Gentry, and it's strike 1. 1-1. Robinson grounded to short. That's the first out in the second inning of this ball game, in which the Mets lead 1-0. Gentry back and throws the curve again, and Hendricks hits it, pops it up to the left side of the infield. Garrett says he's got it. Comes in near Gentry at the mound and takes it. 2 down in the second. The Orioles have had a base runner. Frank Robinson drew a walk on a 3-2 count back in the first inning. Davey Johnson, who has walked twice in the series but hasn't had a hit, 0 for 4, 280 during the regular season. The right-handed hitting second baseman of Baltimore. 7 home runs, 57 RBIs during the year. Gentry throws a fastball, but it's outside, ball 1. Wind now is blowing in from center field. It was blowing out, yet when you look at the top of the stands, it looks like it's blowing out. Fastball, swing and a miss. Shea Stadium is open from just over the left field line and just over the right field line, all the way around with one huge scoreboard blocking off some of the wind in right field. The 1-1 pitch, fastball in on him, and he swings and misses. Strike 2. Gentry's showing a pretty good fastball, Bill O'Donnell.
Jim, his pattern has been fastball in and breaking stuff to the corners and outside. That's the pattern he's setting early in the ball game.
1-2. There's a breaking pitch, but it's outside. Hops away from Grody, and it's 2-2. Waiting on deck is Mark Belanger, the slick fielding shortstop of the Birds. Gentry, just 23 years old. Rookie. And playing in the World Series. Back with a fastball and a check swing by Johnson, and it's fouled into the seats. Still 2-2 with 2 out in the top of the second. Game 4 tomorrow afternoon. We'll be on the air at 12:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Expected pitchers, a rematch of the opening day. Gentry ready on 1-2, and this ball is pulled foul and deep down the line and makes it into the upper deck. And is caught by one of the fans. Had it rained today, had this game been rained out and Game 3 postponed until tomorrow, Gil Hodges said that he would not have started Gary Gentry tomorrow, but would go with Tom Seaver, his 25-game ace who pitched a little bit more than 5 innings in Saturday's opener. But now Seaver can pitch and Gentry's working today. 1-2 the count. Fastball hit high in the air. Back on the grass goes Harrelson. In comes Jones. Harrelson says he has got it and takes the towering pop-out to the third out. In the middle of the second, it's still New York 1 and Baltimore nothing. Have you heard about the latest Gillette invention? It's an aerosol shave cream called the Hot One. It actually heats up right under your very nose. No kidding. You don't have to hold the can under hot water or plug it in or do anything like it. Because the Hot One gets hot all by itself, right out of the can. And the fact is, hot shave cream softens whiskers quicker than cold shave cream to give you a faster, more comfortable shave. So why shave with the cold ones when you can shave with the hot one? The self-heating shave cream from Gillette.
Some men have average-size hands. Some men have big hands. For men with average hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with an average-size handle. For men with big hands, Gillette introduces our new adjustable razor with a long handle. Both new razors have 9 precision settings. Gillette figures a more comfortable razor in your hand means a more comfortable shave.
Right now, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady.
The difference between the right word and the wrong word, it's been said, is like the difference between lightning and lightning bug. Which brings to mind the difference between Saratoga Vichy and its drab alternative, tap water. It's a choice between a unique, fascinating mixer or the same lackluster liquid with which one washes automobiles and oneself. Saratoga Vichy in that green bottle with the vivid yellow label.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. Ken Boswell, the batter. He fouls the first pitch back. Hendricks comes back, but it drops in the seats just over the screen. Strike one. Boswell is the hot-hitting youngster. It was his single one night in September that put the Mets in first place. His hitting over the final month was something to see. In the last 29 games since August the 27th, Ken Boswell, age 23, hit 407. And is at bat now. Here's the strike one pitch, and it's off the corner. 1-1 from Jim Palmer, who trails 1-0 on AG's first hit of the game, a home run over the center field wall. And here come the Met fans alive. Joe DiMaggio sitting in the commissioner's box along with Mr. Bowie Kuhn. Low, and it's 2-1. The signs are out here at Shea Stadium. Let's go Mets, Met power. Fastball. Powell comes off first base, backhands it, overcomes Palmer to cover and does so, and there's the first out of the second inning. Pretty good shot by Boswell, and they don't say much about the fielding of Boog Powell when you measure him alongside of Davey Johnson, Mark Belanger, and Brooks Robinson. But Powell got over there very well, Bill.
Jim, when you look at a fellow who is 245 to 250 pounds, most people wonder how much mobility can a man of this size have. But Powell, despite his size, has great mobility and also fine reflexes, and proved that on that play.
Ed Kranepool hits the first pitch and pops it up to the infield. Belanger is over at shortstop. And Brooks Robinson looking on, and there's the second out. That was Kranepool's first at-bat in this, the 1969 World Series, and here's Gary Grody. Grody has had a pretty good series, especially on Sunday. In that second game on Sunday, Grody hit a 2-2 pitch for a single, driving Charles over to third base, setting up the game-winning hit by Al Weiss. And takes ball one from Jim Palmer. Grote was 1 for 4 in the first game. Breaking pitch, curveball, outside and low. And it's 2-0 to Grote. 2 down. We're in the last of the second. The Mets lead it 1-0 on Agee's home run in the first. Palmer ready and throws a fastball. It gets right past the glove, nipping it of Hendricks and back to the screen. And quickly, it is 3-0 to Grote with Bud Harrelson, a .248 but highly dangerous hitter, on deck. Harrelson is the man who Phil Niekro of the Braves said just couldn't solve. Strike right down the middle. Harrelson is not one who swings for power, but tries to meet the ball and punch it to all fields. Palmer staring in on a 3-1 pitch to Jerry Grote. Fastball high and away at ball 4, and Palmer's now given up his first walk.
Batting in the 8th position. Shortstop.
And here is Bud Harrelson, batting left-handed. He's a switch hitter against the right-handed Palmer. First game of the league championships against Atlanta, and a hookup between Seaver and Niekro. It was Harrelson's triple that started the big rally. Fastball in and low and had to be backhanded by Hendricks, the catcher, in around the feet of Harrelson. Ball 1. Eddie Yost, the coach, at third base, and Yogi Berra at first. Palmer with the stretch, looking over to Grote and throwing the fastball line right through the middle. And Harrelson comes up with a base hit. Grote stops at second. And with 2 down, that brings up the pitcher, Gary Gentry.
Batting in the 9th position. Pitcher, number 39.
That's the second base hit given up by Palmer. Gentry, like Kuzman, who worked Sunday, is not known for power hitting. And Gary will pardon me if I say he's not known for hitting. 081 is season average. 6 hits in 74 times at bat. Just 1 RBI.
Jim, before Harrelson just picked up that base hit, Earl Weaver, the Oriole manager out of the third base dugout, came to the top step and barked some instructions out to Palmer. My guess would be that he said to Palmer, just throw strikes. You're throwing against the bottom end of the order.
Gentry bats as he throws right-handed, hits the ball out to right center field. Paul Blair's coming over, looking over his head. It's over his head. 2 runs will score. Gentry's on the way around second base. Here comes the relay in, and they're going to hold him at second. And Powell is there. They almost threw behind him. It's 3-0, New York. Come out to talk to Jim Palmer as a couple of men began immediately to warm up for Baltimore. And again, Bill O'Donnell, in throwing strikes, I'm sure that Jim Palmer knew that Gary Gentry is not a man who hits. 6 hits in 74 times at bat. But now you can make it 7 for 75, and he's doubled his RBI output, and he's put New York in front, 3-0.
The activity going on right now in the Oriole left field bullpen is with right-hander Jim Harden and left-hander Marcelino Lopez. They are the long relievers. Dick Paul is normally the middle reliever. Rickard and Watt are the lead-in relievers.
And as it has happened in other World Series games this year, the action started with 2 outs. Here's Tommy Agee, who hit a Palmer fastball over the center field wall to lead off the Mets' first inning, and he takes high, ball 1. The Amazin Mets lead the talented Orioles 3-0. Palmer back, strike. 1-1 to Tommy Agee. Boswell grounded to Powell, who made a good play on his grounder. Raincool popped out on the first pitch. Grote drew a walk on a 3-1 pitch, and then Harrelson singled, and Gentry hit the first for a double. Outside, 2-1. bullpen keeps active. Agee fouls one back toward ice. And I'm sure that if you're looking back over the 69 series thus far, 4-1, Baltimore in the first game, 2-1, New York in the second game, total of 3 runs for the Mets. They've got that already, and this is the third game, and the second inning isn't over. Gentry's out at second base. Curveball in the dirt. And it's 3-2 to Tommy Agee. And Palmer wants a new baseball. On deck is Wayne Garrett. Well, that's what happens when you get a book on players when you prep for a league championship or a World Series. The scouts tell you, and they're right, this man doesn't hit. You can get him. But Gentry teed off on a Palmer fastball and doubled in 2 runs. Big curve.
Bill O'Donnell and Jim Simpson awaiting for the top of the third here at Shea Stadium, and the Mets lead in the third game of the 1969 World Series by a score of 3-0. The top and the bottom of the Mets order have supplied the power. Agee with his leadoff bottom of the first inning home run, and then Gentry with a 2-run double to give the Mets that 3-run lead after 2 innings of play. We go to the top of the third now, and here's Jim.
All right, Bill, in the third, Mark Belanger, and then Jim Palmer, the pitcher who's down 3-0, the listed hitter, and then back to the top of the batting order. Palmer has come out on deck. Marcelino Lopez was throwing as Gentry was warming up, but Lopez has taken a seat. Belanger, 1 for 6 on the series, has an RBI, hit .287 during the year. Right-handed batter takes a fastball, bounces it to Harrelson at shortstop, who scoops it up, fires on, and just does get him. Cranepool making a nice stretch at first base. And Jim Palmer is coming up, staring down at Billy Hunter, the third base coach. Palmer with 6 shutouts, including a no-hitter, 11 straight wins before losing to Washington by the score of just 3-2. And allowed no more than 4 runs in any of the ball games in which he played. Has already given up 3 here. Gentry ready to pitch to him. Fastball just off the outside corner, ball 1. The Mets, 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors. The Orioles, no runs, no hits, and no errors. The lights have been on since before we came on the air. Cloudy in New York, chance of rain. Fastball fouled off to the right and into the seats, and it's 1-1. No matter where you look, where there is seating space available or standing room available, there are people. Here at Shea Stadium. 1-1, and Gentry ready to work again. Fastball hit high in the air. May make the seats foul, maybe not. Over comes Cranepool and Grody, and Cranepool backhands it over Grody's head at the dugout of the Mets. Out number 2. Well, in perfect position to allow the ball to fall safely or off the glove of either Grody or Cranepool. Cranepool at the last moment backhanded it, leaning over the roof of the Mets. And the Mets are doing everything right today. The Orioles have had 1 base runner, Frank Robinson, walked in the first inning. Here's Buford, who struck out, looking for the fastball and got the curve, and he went down swinging in the first inning. Curveball, inside, ball one. A.G. for Buford, who's batting left-handed, the switch hitter, has pulled around slightly in right center field. Gentry throws hard this time, misses low and away, and it's 2-0 to Buford. Garrett right at the edge of the grass at third base, in deference to Buford's fine speed. 2-0 pitch, fastball, and Buford taking all the way, takes a strike at the knees. Gentry, working with a 3-run lead, is working rather quickly. Fastball, and it's hit high in the air, foul. Robinson comes down the line, or rather Garrett comes down the line, looks, backs off, and gives way to Harrelson, who makes the out where the tarp is rolled up. So Gentry has another perfect inning. No runs, hits, errors, or anybody left. In the middle of the third, New York 3 and Baltimore nothing.
Oh, Helen, I brought my...
Whatever's the matter?
Oh, nobody appreciates me around here. I'm just a taxi driver. Drive the kids to school, drive to the supermarket, drive Tom to the station. And now Tom blames me because the car needs fixing.
We taxi drivers have a bad life. But you know, Helen, my life's easier since I started using the anti-pollution team.
What in the world is that?
The anti-pollution team? Why, that's Phillips 66 gasolines and Trop Arctic motor oils. You see, the more you drive, the harder your engine works. And the harder it works, the dirtier it can get, and the worse it runs. The anti-pollution team fights that dirt. And by fighting pollution in your engine, it helps keep pollution out of the air. So you get a better running engine, and we all get cleaner air.
Tom's going to hear about this.
The anti-pollution team, only from Phillips 66.
Take it from me, there isn't a better team in the country than Phillips 66 Premium Flight Fuel and famous Trop Arctic Motor Oil. At Phillips 66, it's performance that counts. It'll be Garrett, Jones, and Shamsky in the last of the third for the Mets, who lead 3-0 in this, the third game of the World Series. And the Met fans, as Garrett walked out, began their chant, "Let's go Mets." They've got them 3-0. They want more. Palmer, the pitcher, has given up 3 runs, 3 hits, struck out 1, and walked 1. And as so often happens, and as so many baseball announcers say, the man that he walked was a man who later scored, Jerry Grody. Back for the fastball, inside and low, and it's 2-0 to Garrett. Garrett struck out looking at a fastball in the first inning. Had a count of 0-2 on him, and he was guessing and guessed wrong. Palmer simply threw it past him. There's another fastball, missing, and it's 3-0.
Jim Palmer rarely has control difficulty with his fastball. When he does have it, he's a wild high. He's having wild low problems with his fastball right now.
Back again, taking all the way, ball 4 on 4 pitches. Garrett walks, and the Mets are back in business with Cleon Jones, the batter. That Met bullpen, which Bill O'Donnell is checking out for you, is up and busy again. And George Bamberger is out again to talk to Palmer.
The same 2 fellows are up again, Jim. The left-hander, Marcelino Lopez, and the right-hander is Jim Harden. Harden, off and on this season, has been both a starter and also an early inning reliever.
Larry Knapp of the American League walks out a few steps along the first baseline and yells out to the mound, and George Bamberger, the coach, claps his hands, walks off. Hendricks, the catcher, comes back. Palmer has Garrett at first, none out. In the last of the third, trailing 3-0, and Cleon Jones, the batter. In 6 previous World Series games, the Oriole pitching staff has allowed a total of 5 runs. Palmer's given up 3 today. And the 3 runs by the Mets today is the most ever allowed by Baltimore in any series game. Palmer is ready. Big curve, strike 1. Jones took all the way. They're playing Cleon, who hits to all field straight away. Last time up, he flied to Robinson near the warning track and right. Palmer back with the fastball. This time he's wild, and tall Ellie Hendricks had to leap his full length to haul it in, prevent the wild pitch. It's 1-1. Mets got one in the first on Tommy Agee's home run over the center field fence, and two more in the second on Gary Gentry's first pitch double to right center. On deck is Art Shamsky, 28 years old today, by the way. The 1-1 pitch, fastball, misses, and it's 2-1. Palmer, no matter what happens today, is a courageous young man who did pitch in 1966 and win a shutout victory just before his 21st birthday, only to tear up his shoulder and back and sit out a couple of years as far as the majors is concerned, and he's back in another World Series. Curveball, he's got Jones out in front of it swinging, and it's 2-2. Palmer, by the way, is trying to give himself a birthday present. He will be 24 tomorrow. Dust swirling around home plate, and Jones stepped out for a moment. Garrett leading off at first base, 2-2 the count. Palmer ready and throws the fastball and has him swinging and missing. Strike three, and that's the second strikeout for Jim Palmer, and brings up Art Shamsky.
Right fielder, Art
Shamsky, in the first inning, hit the 0-1 pitch and drove Robinson deep in right field. The ball simply got up too high to get out of here. The straightaway right is about 360 feet. It's 341 down the seconds, dropping away to 396 in left and right center, and 410 in dead center. Palmer ready, throws a fastball and threw it right past Shamsky. Strike one. On the count, and Palmer in the stretch with Garrett at first base comes back with a curveball, and this time Shamsky with a smooth swing nevertheless misses, and it's strike two. Art simply just trying to meet that ball, but the curve of Palmer's was a beauty. Two strikes now, and Palmer ready with a fastball, missing off the corner outside, and it's 1-2. Jack Crawford, who will call balls and strikes tomorrow right behind first base, where Powell is holding on Garrett. And there goes Garrett. Curveball. Gloved by Powell. Now races to first base and steps on first, is going to second, running on the play. And it's a good thing that Garrett was, or it would have been a double play. But instead, Garrett moves into second. Shamsky is the second out. And for a moment, Boog Powell looked as though he had some indecision of whether to throw to second. Palmer was a little slow in getting off the mound, and so Boog turned around and raced Shamsky to the bag. Here's Ken Boswell. Boswell hit a line shot to the right of Powell to lead off the second, and Boog backhanded it and flipped over to Palmer for the out. Pretty well hit ball. Two out now, Garrett at second in this 3-0 ball game, and last of the third, and the Mets lead it. Curveball misses inside to Boswell. Ball one. Looking around, it is overcast here at Shea Stadium, but not clouds, said he, crossing his fingers, that look like rain. Baltimore's bullpen continues to work. Fastball hit high and deep to right field. Robinson goes back near the warning track.
3-inning totals in Game 3 of the World Series. The Mets, 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors. The Orioles against Gentry, no runs, no hits, and no errors. Gentry has completely choked off the Oriole power, namely Blair, Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, and Frank Robinson, whom he has walked. To start the top of the 4th, he goes against Blair. Here's Jim Simpson.
Blair hit the 3-2 pitch to center back in the first inning and is 1 for 8 on the series. Fastball catches the outside corner from Gentry at the knees, and it's strike 1 to Blair. Blair walked in the first game, was picked off at first base, and got the first hit off Jerry Koosman in Sunday's game. Curveball, but it's low, and it's 1-1. Frank Robinson, still looking for his first hit of the series, is on deck. Gentry comes back with another curve that's away from Blair and outside. It's ball 2. 2-1. Gentry ready again. Fastball, and he got out in front of it and lines it foul deep in the seats and left. And it's 2-2. And speaking with Mickey Mantle today, Mickey was recalling the fact that with those great Yankee teams, when the Yankees opened the series on the road for 2, if they could come back to Yankee Stadium, even Steven, the Yanks figured they'd win. The Mets went on the road, came back even Steven, and they feel strike 3 is called. The player on the outside corner, and Paul didn't think so. To complete the thought, the Mets figured if they came back even, they'd sweep it. But the experts say, no, Baltimore is still a favorite. Here is Frank Robinson. That was the second strikeout for Gentry, who has walked 1 and given up no hits or runs. The one that he walked is Robinson, who walked on the 3-2 pitch in the first inning. For 8 for the series, but has hit the ball hard. And he swings at a curveball and misses, strike 1. Now Frank backs out and asks Larry Knapp, and I'm thinking that Frank probably said, did I go around on it, or was that a called strike? Either way, it is strike 1. An occasional shower of confetti here in Shea Stadium, and a lot of it when A.G. hit a home run. Low and away and in the dirt from Gentry, it's 1-1. Gary's right back with a fastball, lined over the head of the shortstop and in, making it is a safe ball. I started to say a shoestring catch. Cleon Jones trapped the ball, said the umpire, and remember there's an umpire right there on the line. And Hank Soar must have been only 20 or 30 feet from Cleon Jones and said he trapped it. That's the first base hit of Gary Gentry. And brings up Boog Powell in this 3-0 ball game. And with a sweep of his big bat, Powell can draw the Orioles very close. 1 down. Powell is up. Brooks Robinson on deck. Gentry looking over at Robinson. Line drive to right field, base hit. Robinson on his way around second base. Shamsky throws on to second. Robinson steams to third, and on the first hit, Powell has his second hit of the series. And Baltimore, trailing 3-0, has runners at the corners with 1 out, and Brooks Robinson the batter.
Jim Gentry has just given Frank Robinson, also Boog Powell, his best fastball. He kept him right over the middle of the plate. The fastball to Powell was belt high. The fastball to Frank Robinson was also belt high, and they both pulled now base hits to left and right.
Brooks Robinson, 1 for 8. He grounded to short in the second inning, the batter. Robinson, who hit .234 during the regular season, remember, does have fine power. 23 home runs, 84 RBIs during the regular season. And 7 for 14 in the league championships over Atlanta. Been hot with the bat lately. Off the corner with the pitch is Gentry, and it's 1-0. Big Boog Powell at first base. Frank Robinson over third. The infield at double play depth. Looking to get Gentry out of a jam. Back with the pitch, fastball, and it's fouled off to the right and out of play. 1-1. Ralph Carter, who was with us in Baltimore over the weekend, and I, Bill, tried to figure out another word to say about the fielding of Brooks Robinson. We ran out of incredibles, and can you believe that?
Or Mr. Impossible.
Fastball, and he's got Robinson swinging and missing. Strike 2, 1-2. Ellie Hendricks is the next batter in this ever-dangerous Oriole lineup. Gentry's ready. Fastball inside and high, and struck him out. Brooks Robinson went for a high inside fastball and struck out. That's 2 out. The infielders go back. Runners remain at the corners, and Ellie Hendricks, who popped to Garrett at third, is the batter. Hendricks, remember, has fine home run power. Splitting the catching duties with Andy Etchebarren, nevertheless came up with 12 home runs during the regular season. 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Mets. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Orioles. And this is the 3rd game of the World Series. Each team has won 1. New York is out in front in this one. Big slow curve. He picked on it and popped it up. May not be in play. Grody comes back and looks as it falls about 4 rows deep into the stands. Strike 1, but he had Hendricks fooled with a slow curve. On deck is Davy Johnson. Gentry and the Mets in a jam. Baltimore, a fine ball club, they say, in the American League, probably the best ball club of the last decade in that league, trying to come from behind, and this is the 3rd game. And, of course, the Birds have the power to do it. Gentry's ready. Hendricks is waiting. Pitch, fastball, swing and a miss, and it's strike 2. Well, he started him with a slow curve. Had him pop that up foul, came back with the fastball, and Hendricks misses. Strike 2. Now Ellie is up there guessing along with Grody and Gentry. Starting the plate, comes in with a slider that's a little low. And it was foul tipped. So it is not a ball. It is still strike 2. Larry Knapp behind the plate indicated that although Hendricks did not offer it the ball, it did tip his bat. 2 strikes. Gentry throws a fastball, hit high and deep to center field. Agee was pulled around the right, goes over with the speed, and watches it. He's got it! Mark in left center field and pulled in the long drive of Ellie Hendricks. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. In the middle of the 4th, New York 3, Baltimore nothing.
Way below in the stands, finding out what kind of people use which kind of right guard. First, an usher.
Regular right guard. I mean, my job is relatively tension-free. I show the patron to a seat, give it a quick wipe with the old flannel mitt, and shuffle my feet, waiting for a tip.
You get money?
Oh, you bet. Except every once in a while, someone tries to slip me a gas station game coin.
Oh?
But I can spot one of those instant losers every time.
Well, what do you do?
I say, thanks, sport, and sulk.
Okay, and here's a hot dog vendor.
I use right guard antiperspirant in the silver can. Pass these dogs down, will you, Mac? See, I need extra protection against wetness.
How come?
Well, serving food to the public is a pressure job, for one thing, and I've also found that having a wetness problem cuts down on my business.
Oh, I can see that.
Hey, where's the money for those dogs? See, this is one of those tense situations where I need the extra protection of silver right guard. Hey, listen, there were 3 hot dogs when I passed them in there. How do I know who ate them?
I see you're busy.
Hey, listen.
Lebaloo saying 2 kinds of people,
hey,
2 kinds of right guard.
Look, I'm going to count to 3, then I'm coming in there, lady.
Bill O'Donnell and Jim Simpson awaiting the bottom of the 4th inning at New York's Shea Stadium. And in games 1 and 2, Jim Simpson, It's been a day for infielders making great plays. Bud Harrelson and Ed Charles, along with Brooks Robinson and Mark Belanger in games 1 and 2. But now, an outfielder and the Mets' Tommy Agee with a wind-blown deep fly ball to the 396-foot marker. Agee made the catch and then banged up against the fence, held onto the ball.
And here's Cranepool, who swung at the first pitch and popped out on the second, and takes the first pitch here in the fourth. It's outside, ball 1. 3-0, the Mets over the Orioles. Palmer still in there and working. High fastball is fouled back to the screen off the bat of Cranepool. Ed has been with the Mets for quite some time. He came up in 1962 when he was 17 years old. In 1963, when he was 18, he played 86 ball games as a major leaguer. Ball is in the dirt, 2-1 to Cranepool. Well, at the moment, Gary Gentry, with considerable help from Tommy Agee, leads in this game. Drive to right field. Back on it goes Robinson for the liner and takes it just before he hits the warning track. And Bill, they're hitting some shots off this Palmer.
Jim, so far, of course, we've had the big home run shot by Agee. Cleon Jones sent Frank Robinson to the right center field warning track. Shamsky sent Robinson to the warning track in right field in the first inning. Robinson had to go to the warning track against Boswell in the bottom of the third. Now, against Cranepool, he took that sizzling liner right near the warning track.
Gary Grody, who walked and scored on Gentry's 2-run double, is up and fouls the first one back to the screen. The runs have been on Agee's home run on a 1-2, or rather 2-1 pitch, a fastball that he lined over the 410-foot mark in center field in the first inning, and then Grody walked. Harrelson followed with a single, and Gentry hit the first pitch for a double to right center to drive in the other 2 runs. Palmer right back. Fastball that misses high and a little bit inside. It's 1-1. 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Mets. No runs, 2 hits, no errors for the Orioles. Jim Palmer. Big curveball, but it's high, and it's 2-1. Al at first, Johnson at second, Belanger the shortstop, Robinson at third, Buford at left, Blair in center, Robinson at right, Frank Robinson, that is, Hendricks behind the plate, and Jim Palmer, the starting pitcher, throwing, and there's a drive down to Johnson, who scoops it out on the second hop and throws on to Powell for the second out of the Mets' fourth. Bud Harrelson, who singled to center to help ignite the rally that scored 2 runs in the second as the batter, switch hitter. Harrelson was up as a 21-year-old with the Mets when the Mets were slightly younger and even more amazing. Breaking pitch is in the dirt, and it's ball 1. Flag now blowing straight away from left to right field. And I mean really blowing. Fastball is fouled to the screen by Harrelson, and it's 1-1. Kneeling on deck with his jacket on is Gentry, high from Palmer, and it's 2-1. Harrelson during the season was much better as a left-handed hitter, hitting .269. Against right-handed batters, batting from the other side, he had 184. Rather, against left-handed batters, pitchers, he hit 184. Ball outside, it's 3-1. The wind springing up. Dirt swirling about the infield. Fastball right down the middle, and Harrelson was taking all the way. It's 3-2. Thunder showers were predicted yesterday for late today. Palmer's ready for the 3-2 pitch to Harrelson. Fouls it back and out of play. Hendricks gives chase, but it's 20 or 30 rows back. And caught by a man in his raincoat. He simply stuffed his raincoat up and wrapped it around the foul ball. Repeat, the Mets, since the end of July, and including the playoff against Atlanta, have won 26 here and lost only 5. Back with the fastball inside and low, and Harrelson draws the third walk, given up by Jim Palmer. That'll bring up Gentry. Jim Palmer puts his hands on his hips, thinks for a while, turns his back to Gentry, He challenged him with a fastball on the first pitch to him in the second inning, and Gentry lined it to deep right center for a double to drive in 2 of the runs. Check at first base where Harrelson is back in plenty of time. There are 2 out in this 3-0 ball game in the last of the 4th. Palmer, fastball. This time he swings and misses. Strike 1.
Jim, activity again in the Oriole bullpen with right-hander Jim Hart.
Palmer ready, throws inside, backing him out of there, and it's 1-1. Palmer working quickly to Gentry now, inside and high, but he swings at it and misses, and it's 1-2. Gentry had 1 RBI all year before his 2-run scoring double in the second inning of this game. Lots of dirt kicking up now around home plate and blowing right under the eyes of Gentry, who turns away. We may not get the rain, but it's going to turn considerably cooler, apparently. 1-2. Palmer ready to throw, low and in the dirt. It bounced in front of the plate and blocked by Hendricks, and it's 2-2. Now check again at first base. The ball gets by Powell. He's trying to get down to second, and Harrelson is knocked down. Bear is there. Running down quickly is Larry Knapp pointing. He could not get around Boog Powell. Interference, and he'll be waved on down to second base. Obstruction on the play. Out comes Earl Weaver, and he's going to talk it over.
Jim, Larry Knapp, I believe, has called interference against Boog Powell. Earl Weaver is out arguing vehemently with Larry Knapp, and I'm sure what Weaver is saying to Knapp that in Powell's haste to get to the wild throw, simply he and the base runner, Harrelson, collided, and that was the reason that Harrelson fell down. But Knapp raced right down the first baseline, pointed, and called interference against Powell.
It was a wild throw. There was no doubt about it, and Harrelson could have made it to second base. There's no doubt about that. But when little Bud Harrelson tries to get around big Boog Powell, there was just no way he could do it, and he finally tripped over Powell's left leg and was sent sprawling into the dust. 2-2 to Gentry with a chance to drive in another run. 2 out, and Harrelson at second. Fastball, and he strikes him out, and
The 4-inning totals: the Mets 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors. The Orioles no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. And to lead off against right-hander Gary Gentry in the top of the 5th inning, it will be second baseman Dave Johnson, along with Jim Simpson.
Thank you, Bill O'Donnell. And the lower half, the 7, 8, and 9 batters of the Orioles, facing Gary Gentry, and his first pitch is a breaking pitch that Johnson swings on and misses, strike 1. Davey popped to the shortstop to end the second inning, his only other time at bat. And now it's 0 for 5 in series play. Has walked a couple of times. Gentry ready, throws another breaking pitch in the dirt, but Johnson went for it, swung and missed. Strike 2. Gentry ready to throw again. Another breaking pitch, ground ball. Harrelson backhands it in the hole. The long throw to first and has it. Garrett broke off third base to his left. Harrelson raced to his right. The ball went past Garrett, and Bud Harrelson, deep in the hole, came up with the ball and had the long throw with a quick release to get Johnson by a step, or perhaps a half a step. Here's Mark Belanger, 1 for 7 on the series. He grounded a short in this game. Jim Palmer walking out on deck. They are on the top of the fifth, 3-0 New York. Gentry throws a breaking pitch, which is low, and it's ball 1. Three runs, one of them a home run by Tommy Agee, the other 2-run double by Gentry. 3 hits, no errors for New York. There's a strike at the knees to Belanger. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 error for Baltimore. Now this has the making of an exciting and long series. Gentry throws low and away, and it's 2-1. The last 2 years, with the Cardinals and the Red Sox and the Cardinals and the Tigers, 7 games apiece. But at the last time the Orioles were in it, 4 in a row. Ground ball, Harrelson has another chance, gets the good hop, throws on to first, and has Belanger, and they're 2 down. Thus far, Harrelson has thrown out 4 batters and retired 2 more on pop-ups. So Bud has been a busy shortstop. Palmer batting for himself, fouled out with the first baseman Cranepool in the 3rd inning. Ed leaned across the dugout steps to take the foul ball. Breaking pitch outside, it's ball 1 to Palmer. These 3 runs, the most runs ever given up by a Baltimore pitcher, and they're now 8-game World Series, or rather 7-game World Series history. Foul to the screen. Bounces back out to Grody, and it's 1-1. The Dodgers never got as many as 3 runs in 1966. The other 2 ball game scores have been 4-1 Baltimore, 2-1 New York. The 1-1 pitch, fastball, and he throws it right by him. Palmer swings and misses, and it's 1-2. Gary Gentry, age 23, leading 3-0 in the World Series. Ground ball right over the mound, and there's Harrelson again by second base, throwing on to first, and he's got it. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. In the middle of the 5th inning, the New York Mets 3, the Baltimore Orioles 0.
With just 1 can of new STP gasoline treatment, one can feel the difference.
1 can?
Yes, 1 can. With the very first can, new STP gasoline treatment goes to work cleaning and tuning your engine as you drive, increasing pep and power, prolonging engine life.
1 can do all that?
1 can does all that. That's why 1 can feel the difference. A difference in power and performance right from the start.
Then anyone can?
Yes, any 1 can of new STP gasoline treatment from the makers of world-famous STP oil treatment.
So I can, you can, we can.
No, I wouldn't call it a we can. It's big enough to supercharge the total performance of your engine, or any engine in any car, old or new.
Okay, I'm convinced. By adding just 1 can of STP gasoline treatment to the gasoline, 1 can feel the difference.
Yes, uncanny, isn't it?
Next time you fill up your tank, have your favorite gasoline service station add a can of STP gas treatment. You can feel the difference with the very first can. Mario Andretti, Indy 500 winner.
We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady.
Saratoga ginger ale is not Saratoga Vichy with ginger flavor added. We're not sure where that rumor got started, though we have our ideas. In any event, what Saratoga ginger ale is a quite unusual, delicious drink with its own identity altogether. It's gingery without being snappish, mellow without being gooey, altogether luscious. But then the Saratoga people do everything in good taste.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. Tommy Agee, who has made a fielding gem of a play and hit a home run, is the batter to lead off against Jim Palmer in the bottom of the 5th. And the Baltimore Oriole announcer with us, Bill O'Donnell.
Thank you, Jim, and hello again, everybody. Palmer's first pitch is a breaking ball, low and away, ball 1. Palmer may be well aware that A.G. likes to swing at any first pitch, and A.G. is also reputedly a very good fastball cutter. 1-0 delivery by Palmer is a fastball through the middle that got just above the knees of Tommy A.G. A.G. had that lead-off bottom of the first inning home run right over the center field fence. He bounced out third to first in the second inning. Palmer to work 1-1 with a curve, grounded foul way off the third base foul line, right between the third base coach Eddie Yost and the bag. A ball and 2 strikes, Palmer ahead of A.G. to begin the bottom of the 5th inning. This is the head of the Mets order. A.G. to be followed by Garrett, the third baseman, and then Jones, the left fielder. Palmer gazing through to Hendricks. Winds, deals 1-2. A fastball. Line right to the shortstop, knee high, and the glove made by the shortstop, Belanger. A line smash right to the knees of Belanger. He reached down knee high and took it away from A.G. 1 up, 1 down in the Mets' 5th inning, and that'll bring on Wayne Red Garrett, the left-hand swinging third baseman. Garrett playing in his very first World Series game after being rested in games 1 and 2. He's thrown a high fastball outside, 1-0. Garrett looked at strike 3 on a first-inning fastball. He walked on 4 pitches in the third. Here's another high Palmer delivery, 2 balls and no strikes. Palmer has been not exceptionally sharp control-wise with either the fastball or the breaking ball. He has been both wild high and wild low with his heat. The 2-0 pitch to Garrett. It is inside to the knees. 3 balls and no strikes. As we mentioned, Garrett was walked on 4 pitches in the third inning. Palmer on thin ice on the count of 3 balls and no strikes. He winds and deals low and tight, ball 4. So for the second straight time, Garrett has been passed on 4 pitches. That is walk number 4, issued this afternoon by Palmer. 3 times this afternoon, manager Weaver has warmed up his bullpen. He has been warming Lopez and Harden off and on, and activity is beginning out in the bullpen again. The left-hander is up. That is Marcelino Lopez. The Mets lead by a score of 3-0. Gentry has checked the Orioles with only 2 base hits. Palmer has given up 3 hits along with the 3 runs. The big blow, A.G.'s homer, and a 2-run double by Gentry in the second inning. Jones has flied to the warning track to Robinson in right center, and he struck out on a Palmer third-inning fastball. Jones has 1 hit in the series, batted .340 for the regular campaign. A curve is in but high, ball 1. So Palmer starts off the dangerous Jones just as he did the dangerous A.G. with a breaking ball. Policing at first base, Powell holds on Garrett. Garrett edging his lead. There is 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. The 1-0 delivery by Palmer is a fastball popped up. It's off the third base foul line, and it's going to drift towards the seats and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cleon Jones. On deck, the Mets have Art Shamsky. In addition to having a great average of .340 and being the number 3 hitter average-wise in the National League, Jones also holds the distinction of having the highest average ever in Mets history. Previous distinction was held by Richie Ashburn back in 1962. The 1-1 delivery is high and tight, and it has Jones sit down. Palmer completely lost the grip and the control on the high-side fastball, and Jones just had to duck out and sit right down. 2 balls, 1 strike to Jones. The Baltimore infield playing back at double play depth with Belanger at short, Johnson at second, both halfway. Robinson well inside the line of third. Deep left is Buford. A move to first base, and Garrett beats it over. Garrett just walked with 1 out. Palmer trying to get rid of Jones. He'll have Shamsky to go after him next. The 2-1 pitch on the way. Here's a fly ball out to medium right field. Frank Robinson coming on, should make the play, and Robinson for the put-out belt high in right field. That's out number 2 now in the bottom of the 5th inning. And the batter is Art Shamsky. Shamsky has been to the plate twice and drilled the ball well both times. He hit a hot shot smash to first baseman Powell in the 3rd inning, and Powell beat him to the bag. In the 1st inning, Shamsky sent Frank Robinson to the right field warning track to bring down his high deep fly ball. Quick move to first base, but Garrett gets back in no trouble. The stretch by Palmer to the belt. He throws a curve, slap to the ground to the second baseman. Up. Back at Shea Stadium in New York City, Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. We're going to the top of the sixth inning. Buford, Blair, and Robinson the batters, and the Mets and Gentry leading the Orioles and Jim Palmer 3-0.
Okay, Jim, Gentry has had kind of a cruise. I guess you can't say cruise when you have a pressure ball game like this. He's only given up 2 base hits. And he goes against Don Buford at the top of the Oriole order at the top of the sixth inning. Buford struck out on a Gentry curve in the first inning. He fouled out in the third. He has 2 hits in the series. Both have produced runs. Buford switch hitter, batting left-handed, and he dives back from an inside curveball, ball 1. Buford had a first-game homer. He also had a first-game double to drive over another run. Gentry to his windup, his kick and his pitch, fastball a little outside. Garrett, the third baseman, is playing Buford close and up to the grass at third. The outfield against Buford plays him around to right. Jones in left, shades left center. A.G. to right center. Shamsky pushed back fairly deep right field. Gentry behind, trying to come back 2-0. Fastball. He burns it down the middle for a strike call to the knees of Buford. Gentry, 6 feet tall, only 23 years old, 175-pounder. His 2-1 delivery, another fastball, another strike. So he fell behind 2-0, and he's come back with heat to go 2 balls, 2 strikes to Buford. Buford from the left side is a better hitter than from the other side. A curve, cut out and missed. A strikeout for Gentry again against Buford. That's the first out in the top of the sixth inning. Gentry now has 4 strikeouts and 1 gone in the Baltimore sixth inning, and the batter is Paul Blair. Blair has 1 hit in the series. He is 0 for 2 today. He has flied to center. He has looked at strike 3. Guards the plate from deep in the box and swings right-handed. Fastball is low to Blair. On deck, it is Frank Robinson. 1 away, top of the sixth inning. The Mets lead in Game 3 of the World Series, 3-0. The delivery. Fastball is popped up. It's to the infield. Over from third, Garrett. In from short is Harrelson. It is Harrelson's call, and the putout right to the left of second base. Blair pops up to Harrelson. 2 away.
Right fielder.
Well, the Oriole big siege guns, the power of Blair, Frank Robinson, Powell, and Brooks Robinson have only picked up in the series so far 5 base hits off Met pitching. Frank Robinson hit a shot single and ripped it to left in the 4th inning for his first hit in this series. He has also drawn a walk. Robinson batting with 2 gone in the top of the 6th inning. Gentry's wind up in his pitch, a breaking ball low outside. And now Frank Robinson has requested Larry Knapp to take a look at the ball being used by the right-hander Gentry. The only hits off Gentry came after a hitless first 3 innings by the young right-hander on one-out singles by Frank Robinson and Powell. Gentry winds back over the head. The right-hander's throw is inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Defensively, Harrelson, the shortstop, shades a bit towards the hole. Garrett fairly wide of the line of third to help out in the hole. 2-0 is a curve downstairs. 3 balls and no strikes. When Gentry has thrown fastballs to Frank Robinson, he's kept them tight. He's kept them fist high. He's kept his breaking balls low into the outside corner. He's behind 3-0. His fastball is low inside. He walks Frank Robinson for the second time in this ball game.
First baseman, John Powell.
A 2-out walk for Frank Robinson, and the batter is Boog Powell. Bounced out, second baseman Boswell to Cranepool in the first inning, and rifled a base hit to right in the 4th inning. And that came with 1 out. It chased Frank Robinson to third. And then Gentry just tightened up on the belt buckle and struck out Brooks Robinson and had Hendricks fly deep to center, on which A.G. made a fantastic catch. Powell at the plate. He's curved for a strike to his knees as Gentry just let up a little bit on that breaking ball of his. Gentry doing in this ball game what Koosman did somewhat in Sunday's game, mixing his pitches and moving his fastball around. Cranepool does not hold on Frank Robinson off first base. Here's a line drive, base hit out to right field, being run down by Shamsky. Frank Robinson rounding second and goes easily into third base. There's no play made to third as Shamsky rifles his return throw into Boswell. So the Orioles have a situation again here in the top of the 6th inning, this time with 2 out, as they had with 1 out in the 4th inning. Runners aboard, first and third at the corners, and the batter this time is Brooks Robinson. Jerry Grody has made a visit to the mound to talk to Gentry. And for the first time this afternoon, the Mets will begin activity in their bullpen out in right field. Gentry just gazing around, trying to relax, looking over to Cranepool. Cranepool at the moment is not holding on Powell. He's playing behind the bag and close to the foul line. Brooks Robinson today is 0 for 2. The stretch, Gentry's curve outside, ball 1. Gentry in his second jam. He pulled away from his first jam. The outfield to Brooks Robinson plays straight away. Shamsky fairly deep in right field in front of the warning track. The 1-0 from Gentry. Fastball is high and outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Brooks Robinson. Frank Robinson, the runner at third. Boog Powell, the runner at first. The activity in the Mets bullpen is with another fastballer, Nolan Ryan. Gentry in trouble. He's got to come through with a good pitch. He trails 2-0. He winds and throws a line drive foul, pulled off the left field side. That makes it 2 balls, 1 strike to Brooks Robinson. Incidentally, Boog Powell, along with the Mets' Don Clendenin, are the only ball players with 3 hits in this World Series. We're in Game 3 of the World Series. The Mets leading 3-0. Baltimore has the tie run at home plate with Brooks Robinson. Gentry stretching, letters down above the belt. 2-1 deal is high. Ball 3. Foul lines here at Shea Stadium, 341 down left and right. The stretch by Gentry to Robinson, 3-1. Here's a high fly down the right field foul line, being chased by Shamsky. He's near the foul line, and Fairground Shamsky makes the pass to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit for the Orioles, 2 left. In the middle of the 6th inning, it's the Mets 3, the Orioles nothing.
One morning, Wally Buckley discovered he had a case of the nubs.
The nubs?
The nubs. The tiny little part of his beard his razor couldn't get.
They're all over my face.
Fortunately, the Gillette Techmatic razor gets rid of the nubs. Techmatic adjusts to shave you closer. Techmatic gave Wally the closest shave he ever had. No nicks, no cuts, No nubs.
Boy, that was close.
Techmatic by Gillette. It gets the nubs.
Flair. Right the way you feel. Feel angry? Right angry. Flair. Feel happy? Right happy. Flair. Feel sad? Right sad. Flair. Flair writes it like it is. Writes the way you feel. Flair writes very, very small. Flair. Or 10 feet tall. Flair is different. Flair has a smooth, tough nylon point that stays sharp. Flair.
We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady.
The difference between the right word and the wrong word, it's been said, is like the difference between lightning and lightning bug. Which brings to mind the difference between Saratoga Vichy and its drab alternative, tap water. It's a choice between a unique, fascinating mixer or the same lackluster liquid with which one washes automobiles and oneself. Saratoga Vichy in that green bottle with the vivid yellow label.
Along with Jim Simpson, Bill O'Donnell back with you again at Shea Stadium, bottom of the sixth inning. Ken Boswell, a ground ball pass, foul at first, backhanded by Johnson on the outfield grass, throws to first and not in time. Powell could not get to the ground shot well inside the first baseline. Johnson did get to it on the outfield grass. Boswell, running as hard as he could, either got to the bag before Palmer did, or Palmer may have not hit the bag with his foot.
He had his foot high in the air. He had to go high to drag down the throw. And as he was high in the air, Bill, he just simply wasn't on the bag. It pulled his right foot off, and it's a base hit. And talk about your oddities, as we had in Baltimore. With a pigeon circling the bases from third to first, we've come to New York, and they're going at least the right way, Bill. This pigeon here is going from first to third.
Jim, that's the first hit off Palmer since the two-run Mets second inning. He has now given up his fourth base hit, and the batter is the fairly dangerous Ed Cranepool, known for pull power, swings from the left side. He fouls a fastball to our left and out of play. Cranepool, strictly a New York product, and a graduate of James Monroe High School, and the only player on the Mets 1969 cast who was a member of the first New York Met team in 1962. Cranepool is 0 for 2. An easy move to first base by Powell, but Boswell is back to the bag. Johnson, the second baseman, to Cranepool, playing him to pull and shades towards his left side. The pitch to Cranepool, he lines the shot right to the box seats down from the Mets dugout. A hot, sizzling line shot about 4 rows back. 2 strikes to Cranepool. And speaking of that 1962 team on which Cranepool played, remember, Ashburn, Woodling, and Hickman was the outfield. Throneberry, Neal, Chacon, and Thomas the infield. Taylor was the catcher opening day. Do you remember who the first game pitcher was? You do indeed, I'm sure. It was Al Jackson. The look to first by Palmer. He's 2 strikes ahead. And Cranepool sits down from a shoulder-high breaking ball. Cranepool just yanked right back and sat right down. He got out of the way immediately. Activity is beginning again in the Baltimore left field bullpen. The Mets have Boswell leading at first base, nobody out. The 1-2 pitch fouled away as Cranepool reached for an outside delivery. Jim Harden, a right-hander, throwing in the Baltimore bullpen. He and Lopez have been throwing since the second inning. Well, we just had kind of a fake pigeon and also a Mets sign fall right behind home plate, and that has excited this crowd of well over 58,000 at Shea Stadium. You've got 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cranepool. The Mets have Boswell leading at first base and edging into his lead. Here's the delivery. It is low for ball 2. 2-2 to Cranepool. Brooks Robinson, the third baseman, well off the line and just about a step back of the bag.
Belanger, the shortstop, against the left-hand swinger, shades towards the bag. Johnson is playing halfway against Cranepool. Palmer's peaked to first base. His 2-2 pitch, the runner goes. Here's a ground ball to the second baseman Johnson. No play to second. Throw to first base. Retires Cranepool. But with Boswell running, Cranepool on the easy ground ball to Johnson, who had no trouble making the put out. Johnson could make no throw to second base. So Boswell is camped at second. Cranepool was put out, and the batter is Jerry Grody, the catcher. Grody has walked and grounded out second to first. He's the scrapper and one of the leaders on this Met ball club. He has 2 hits in the series. He is the 7th batter in the order. Boswell in scoring position is off second base with 1 out. A curve is fouled off the end of Grody's bat, strike 1. Keeps concentrating on Hendrick's side. Watches Boswell off second. His curve is lined down the left field foul line. It stays clear and rolls to the corner. Boswell turns third. He's going to come home to make it 4-0. Going into second with a stand-up 2-bagger is Jerry Grody. Grody got a bell-tied Palmer pitch right down the middle, and he pulled it down the left field foul line. It was inside the foul line, on the grass in the outfield, about 3 feet there. Rolled to the corner. Buford played the count, had no play home. Boswell has scored. Still only 1 out, and the Mets lead is now 4-0. 5 hits off Palmer. The shortstop is up, Bud Harrelson. He's been aboard twice. Palmer serves him high with a fastball over the plate. Harrelson, who is a switch hitter, batting left-handed today against Palmer. Batted right-handed against Cuellar and McNally in the first 2 games. He has singled and walked. The 1-0 is on the outside corner to Harrelson's left. 1 ball and 1 strike. Grody has just drilled a double down the left field foul side to make it 4-0. Grody is off second. The 1-1 from Palmer. Fastball, check, swing, foul, right behind third base coach Eddie Yost. Palmer got his fastball into Harrelson's letters, and he could not yank the bat away in time. Harrelson is average size, up and down, but built very slender, and he chokes up on the bat. Leans towards the plate, spreads the feet right in the middle of the box. Palmer, 1-2 to the plate. A curve is low, dug out from the dirt by the catcher Elrod Hendricks. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Harrelson. Here in the Mets' 6th inning, a leadoff base hit by Boswell, moving to second on Cranepool's infield ground ball, and then scoring on Grody's double. Palmer 2-2. He whips it in. Curve, strike 3. Harrelson no squawk to Larry Knapp. He knew it. He got the change curve from Palmer over the plate and right to his head. Palmer's 4th strikeout. Now the greeting of more than 56,000 here at New York Shea Stadium for one of their favorite sons, pitcher Gary Gentry. Gentry, who's not only spaced 3 hits and pitched shutout ball, has also delivered a big blow with the bat. That second inning 2-run double to right center. The pitch to him is in for a strike call to his belt. Gentry during the regular season only had 6 base hits, only had 1 double, but he produced the 2-bagger in this 3rd game of the series. Fastball is in, strike 2 call. Blair, the center fielder, shades the right-hand swinging Gentry to right center. Robinson plays him in shallow right.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell. And although still overcast, the skies have brightened perceptibly since this game began, and it looks as though we'll get it all in. And right now it is all the Mets. Tommy Agee's home run in the first inning, 1 run. Gary Gentry, who is pitching shutout ball, doubled in 2 more in the second. And Grody has just doubled 1 in the sixth. And it's 4-0 New York as we move to the top of the 7th inning, and Elrod Hendricks and Bill O'Donnell.
Hendricks' last trip was robbed of perhaps an extra base wallop by the center fielder Agee, who slammed against the fence in left center at the 396-foot marker to pull down the high deep fly ball. Hendricks has also popped up to the third baseman. Now, Gentry has worked over Hendricks today. He's thrown him fastballs and changeups and kept him off balance. He gives him the fastball outside, ball 1. Hendricks is strictly a pull hitter. And that's the way Shamsky plays him in right field. 2 steps in front of that deep warning track. The 1-0 on the way. Another fastball, but this one is a strike call. He kept the ball away from Hendricks, away from his pulling power, to his knees and on the outside corner. Gentry at the moment very much in command. Winding, dealing 1-1 to Elrod Hendricks. Breaking ball low inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. We're getting now down near the end of the Oriole order, and activity is in the Baltimore bullpen. Hendricks is the 6th batter in the order. The ball 2, 1 strike pitch. Gentry serves. Fastball foul to the screen. Ball 2 and strike 2 to Elrod Hendricks. Dave Leonard is throwing right now in the Oriole bullpen. Leonard is a right-hander. 2-2 in the battle between Gentry and Hendricks. The Mets are leading in Game 3 of the World Series 4-0. The series is square and a victory apiece. 2-2-er. It's on the way to Hendricks. Fastball, fly ball, fairly deep right center field. Agee's going back to the warning track. He's on the warning track, and Agee grabs it. Hendricks flies deep to right center, but Agee has a lot of room, as do all the outfielders on this warning track. The warning track here at Shea Stadium is about 30 feet wide. 1 away in the top of the 7th inning, and that produces Dave Johnson. Johnson has popped up and has grounded out. Johnson is 0 for 2 today. He is 0 for 6 in the series to date. Swings from the right side. The fastball from Gentry is at the knees inside, ball 1. Mark Belanger is on deck. 1-0 to Johnson. Inside, it backs him off. He twisted the shoulder away from the tight fastball. 2 balls and no strikes. There has been a fairly strong wind here at Shea Stadium all afternoon, and it is blowing right now to the right field corner. Gentry rocks, comes forward and throws. Fastball down the middle, and he kept that fastball low to Johnson. He didn't keep it upstairs. He kept it right to his knees. 2 balls and 1 strike. 1 away, bases clean. The 2-1 delivery is fouled to the left of home plate on the ground over towards the Oriole dugout. Here at Shea Stadium, the visiting dugout is on the third base side, and the Mets occupy the first base dugout. The windup and the 2-2 pitch. Fly ball, well hit, deep center field. Agee going back. He slips. He recovers. In front of the warning track, Agee makes the catch for out number 2. Agee lost his footing, went down on his right knee, on his left knee, and then quickly got back up. He had the range on the fly ball. He was actually under it when he slipped. So Agee just came right back up and collared the fly ball off Johnson's bat. Here is Mark Belanger, has bounced to the hole at short in the 3rd inning, on which Harrelson made a fine, strong throw, and he grounded again to Harrelson, the shortstop, in the 5th inning. Belanger is 8th on the order. He will hit to the opposite field a lot. A curve is in but low, ball 1. The Mets, aware from their scouting reports that Belanger goes to the opposite field, has Shamsky over into right field and not too deep. 1-0 to Belanger. He checks his swing on a fastball and checked it inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Agee, the center fielder, does not play Belanger deep. He also shades him to right center. The Orioles have a pinch hitter on deck. Dave May in case Belanger gets on. Fastball, low inside. 3 balls and no strikes. Bill O'Donnell and Jim Simpson with you. Game 3 of the World Series at Shea Stadium, New York. The Mets at the moment with Gentry have a commanding lead of 4-0 in the top of the 7th inning. 3-0. Strike is called to the man. Garrett, the third baseman, plays wide of the line right back of the grass. The rock and the pitch by Gentry. In for strike 2 called. So Gentry has made 2 fine comeback pitches. He was trailing Belanger 3-0. He now has him a money pitch, and here it comes. 3-2 outside. He walks him. He loses Belanger on a 3-2 pitch, gives up his 3rd walk. Earl Weaver has decided to pull Jim Palmer and to go with the left-hand swinging pinch hitter, Dave May. May, during the regular season, batted .242, had 3 home runs, and had 10 runs batted in. May pulls the ball quite a bit. And let's see what Shamsky does against him in right field. Shamsky plays him deep, but doesn't play him to pull quite as much as he had played Hendricks. The pitch to May, a changeup, is a strike on the outside corner. Gentry has thrown changeups to Hendricks, and now he throws this changeup to another left-hand cutter, Dave May. May is swinging for Palmer. Belanger off first base. Fastball is low. That's a ball and a strike to May. And now Rube Walker is making his first trip out of the Mets dugout out to talk to both catcher Grody and the right-hander Gentry. At the moment, there is no activity in the Mets bullpen, but a couple of fellows now begin to take off jackets. So Walker going out for 2 purposes: to get the bullpen ready and also to try to find out how Gentry feels. Is he strong? Does he feel calm, cool, and collected and confident? Walker has made his visit and is going back, and the Mets begin to warm up the flame ball throwing right-hander Nolan Ryan. The Orioles batting in the 7th inning. They've got Belanger at first base. He's not held by Cranepool. The look over by Gentry. His pitch to May. Inside corner for a strike. He turned the fastball to May's knee. May swings and he misses. Ryan is being joined by Tug McGraw. 2 balls, 2 strikes to May. He's batting with 2 gone. Cranepool plays next to Belanger, right in behind him, but does not go to the bag. 2-2 to May. Curve is inside. Brody began to go to the dugout. Brody thought it had the inside corner. So that will release Belanger with 2 out. He can run and go to second base on a 3-2 pitch to May. On deck is Buford. Mets lead 4-0. Belanger, good lead at first base. He'll start to run. He goes. 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. So 2 men have been walked back to back after Gentry got Hendricks and Johnson on fly balls to A.G. the center fielder. The batter now will be the leadoff sticker, Don Buford. Buford has fouled out and fanned again in the 6th inning.
There's a danger, Bill O'Donnell, of a pitcher that has done as well as a Gentry in this game or a Jerry Koosman on the game on Sunday of when you get in the late innings and realize that you just got an inning or 2 more and it's all over, of aiming the ball and forgetting to pitch. And perhaps that's why Rube Walker went out to talk to Gentry, who had been aiming the ball, and Hendricks and Johnson both hit him deep, and then he lost Belanger and now May to the bases on balls.
The right side of the Mets infield, Jim, playing back deep against Buford, a left-hand swinger. A high curve is outside. Gentry may have lost the grip on that breaking ball. Gil Hodges sitting back in the Mets dugout. Right beside him is Rube Walker. Both Walker and Hodges are watching every move and every pitch that Gentry is delivering now. He's pitching a little bit on thin ice here in the top of the 7th inning with 2 on and 2 gone. 1-0 to Buford. Checks his swing, fouls it off back to the screen. 1-0 1 ball, 1 strike. Buford's big game was the opener to this 1969 World Series with a homer and a run-scoring double. Runners lead second and first. Fastball high again. 2 balls, 1 strike. So Ryan, for the first time, is in a serious jam. He did have a jam in the 4th inning and pulled out of it. He had a slight jam with 2 out in the 6th inning and pulled out of it when he made Brooks Robinson fly out to right field. He's working Buford 2-1. He backs him away. It was inside. Buford had a twist off from the inside pitch to the belt. 3 balls and 1 strike. The Orioles have May, who batted for Palmer at first base. They have Belanger, who drew a 2-out walk at second base. And there is a little bit uneasiness now in the Mets dugout with Rube Walker and manager Hodges. 3-1 to Buford. Ball 4. The bases are jammed. 3 walks this inning. The Orioles have every base occupied, and Gil Hodges is making his way slowly from the Mets dugout to the mound. He's got Ryan warm. He's got McGraw warm. He's got a right-hand batter coming up against his pitching, namely Paul Blair. Blair's history today has been to fly to center, has been to look to strike 3, and has been to pop up. McGraw is the left-hander working in the bullpen, and Ryan is the right-hander. And undoubtedly, they'll bring on the right-hander to work against Blair.
It's Nolan Ryan who did such a fine job in relief of Gentry in the league championships. Is coming in, and this is the fellow that when they say he is on, he is one of the fastest men in all of baseball. You'll recall Sunday in the game that the Mets won behind Jerry Kuzman 2-1 in the 9th inning, and here goes Gentry leaving the field, and listen to this applause for him. Standing ovation. As I said, that Kuzman had 2 out in the 9th when he walked 2 men before Taylor bailed him out. Here, with 2 out in the 7th and a couple of well-hit balls, Gentry has walked, the bases loaded, and the Mets hope that Nolan Ryan can bail him out. We pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady.
Saratoga ginger ale is not Saratoga Vichy with ginger flavor added. We're not sure where that rumor got started, though we have our ideas. In any event, what Saratoga ginger ale is a quite unusual, delicious drink with its own identity altogether. It's gingery without being snappish, mellow without being gooey, altogether luscious. But then the Saratoga people do everything in good taste.
Tony Kubek now is talking to Casey Stengel. Let's go down and join him.
Fast, didn't he? Yes, I think that he was getting a little too excited this time. He's anxious to win. And, of course, being that many runs behind to have the take sign on. And you could tell that the hitter was just irritating him and, to try and make him throw that ball over the plate. But they were told to wait out. Now the dangerous part is a wonderful pitcher going in. He's a young man. The idea is with 3 men on bases, can you throw a strike? Now, if you can't throw a strike, you're in bad shape now. But the kid did pitch wonderful up to this hour, and he wasn't very heavy. You know, he's not too heavy a kid, and I think he was pitching a little too fast with the take sign up.
Thank you very much, Casey fans. You heard it from the expert, Casey Stengel. Let's go on back upstairs.
And what'd he say, Tony? Here's Paul Blair, bases loaded, 2 out, and here's Bill O'Donnell.
Belanger at third, May at second, Buford at first base. The tie run from an Orioles standpoint at home plate with Paul Blair. 2 gone in the top of the 7th inning. Ryan out of a full windup, and the Texan throws. With a 2 fastballs there. Met fans have said that if Ryan doesn't have a Koufax fastball, at least he has a Gibson fastball and a McDowell fastball. Is 1 strike to Blair. So Ryan has made 2 pitches and has 2 strikes to Blair. Gentry went 6 2/3 innings. Only gave up 3 hits, struck out 4, walked 5. Ryan's windup, 2-strike delivery. Here's a fly ball to right center field, deep in right center. Shamsky with A.G. A.G. dives, and he makes the catch. A.G. made a diving catch. A warning flag in right center field. Score at the end of 7 innings. Mets 4, Orioles nothing.
We got a real good thing, a real good taste. Me and my Winston, we got a real good thing.
Back at Shea Stadium, an excited Shea Stadium in New York, where it is still 4-0 as Nolan Ryan, with considerable help from Tommy Agee, who is coming to bat now, got out of the inning. Agee, who ignited the Mets with a home run in the first inning, who in the fourth inning, with 2 men on and 2 outs, made a fantastic running grab from right center to left center to haul down the drive of Hendricks, as just with 3 men on and 2 out, lunged, dove, slid along his stomach, and made the catch to the drive of Paul Blair. And Tommy Agee has the Mets in front, 4-0. Bill O'Donnell, and we have a new pitcher.
All right, Jim. The Amazin Mets, underdogs in the National League race, won the pennant. The Amazin Mets, underdogs to begin the World Series, lead by a score of 4-0. And the hero right now here at Shea Stadium is Tommy Agee. Agee, who has made 2 outstanding, fabulous catches with his glove. One on Hendricks earlier, and the last one on Paul Blair with the bases loaded and 2 out to set down the side. With the bat, Agee with the first inning home run. The Mets have led 6. Dave Leonard is the reliever. The right-hander throws outside. Leonard in relief of Palmer to begin the bottom of the 7th inning. He is a graduate of Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. His 1-0 to Agee. He swings and he misses. Leonard rocks back, comes forward. The right-hander's 1-1 pitch is fouled by Agee back behind the screen. In the Orioles' 1969 championship series, Leonard won 7. He lost 4. He was used 33 times as a reliever. He goes low outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Agee at the head of the order, waiting 2-2. Leonard goes to him with a slider in the dirt. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Palmer was pulled for pinch hitter May, who was one of the 3 men walked by starter Gary Gentry in the top of the 7th inning. 3-2 pitch is ball 4 inside. The first man faced by Leonard Agee, he gives him a walk. In 6 innings, Palmer, the starter, walked 4 men. Wayne Garrett, the next batter, was passed twice by Palmer in the 3rd and in the 5th. He also looked at a 3rd strike in the 1st inning. Ed Charles had been the Mets' 3rd baseman in games 1 and 2. Powell holds at first base. Agee, who can run and likes to run, leads, and Leonard drives him back with a move to first base. Brooks Robinson at 3rd, expecting Garrett to lay one down, comes up to the grass. Leonard's check, his quick throw. They almost pulled Agee off. He had a dive back, hands extended. Leonard has picked off more men at first base than any other member of the Orioles staff. Garrett squares, bunts down the first base side, fielded by Leonard, throws. Johnson makes the cover at first base on the putout. The bunt was between the mound and the first base foul line by Garrett, closer to the foul line. Leonard charged off the mound. Powell also charged from first to the ball. Leonard got there first. Johnson hooked over from the right side of the infield to take the putout throw. Garrett will not be charged with a time at bat. The assist to Leonard, the putout to Johnson, places Agee at second base with 1 away. The batter for the Mets is Cleon Jones. He has gone 0 for 3 today. Jones is 1 for 11 in the series. Jones was runner-up to the Mets' Tommy Agee in run production for the year. Agee knocked over 76. Jones drove over 75 runs. Agee, who has a lot of speed, and he's proved it in the outfield today, especially off second. A slider has popped up. It's into shallow right center. Johnson going back. Robinson coming forward. It is Robinson for the put out in shallow right center, and Agee has to plant himself and stay at second base. Here's Art Shamsky now, a left-hand batter and the right fielder. Shamsky has flied deep to right, has bounced out unassisted to Powell at first base, and has grounded out second to first. The Mets are batting in the seventh. They lead by a score of 4-0. The winner of this ball game takes the lead in the World Series 2-1. Leonard stretch. His delivery is a curve, and here's a fly ball to left field. Buford going to his right, still moving.
Back at Shea Stadium in New York as we move now to the top of the eighth inning with Bill O'Donnell. This is Jim Simpson in a 4-0 ball game, which the Mets lead. Nolan Ryan on in relief of Gary Gentry with the bases loaded on walked and 2 out in the seventh inning through 2 quick strikes. Past Paul Blair, then worked him outside and on a 1-2 count. Blair, finding Agee pulled around to left center, lined the ball to deep right center, and Agee made his second spectacular catch of the afternoon, lunging, falling down, holding his glove above the ground, and robbed Blair and the Orioles of a chance to score. But in the eighth, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell, and Brooks Robinson. And here's Bill O'Donnell.
The Mets have made 2 defensive changes. They now have Al Weiss playing second base here in the eighth inning, and Rod Gaspar playing right field for Shamsky. Frank Robinson backs off from a breaking ball from Nolan Ryan. Ryan relieved Gentry in the seventh with the bases loaded. He made 3 pitches to Blair and got him out. Fastball a little inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Repeating again, Gaspar in right, Weiss at second base in the top of the eighth inning. The 2-0 to Frank Robinson. Fastball, strike to the knees. The Met outfield, Jones left, Agee center, Gaspar in right field. Here's a high fly, deep left center field. Way back is Jones along with Agee. They're at the fence. It is Agee backing up to the fence, right against the fence in left center, about 380 feet away. So Frank Robinson drilled it deep and high, but Agee had time to back up to the fence and pull it down. 1 away in the top of the eighth inning, and here is Boog Powell, another long ball Baltimore threat. Powell has 2 hits. Frank Robinson had the other one off the starter Gary Gentry. Powell singled in the 4th and singled in the 6th inning. Big left-hand power swinger out of Florida. 1 away, nobody aboard. Curve, strike ball, fell high. The Mets infield does not overshift. It does not jam the right side of the infield. The 1 strike to Powell. Fastball, he challenged him, he swings and misses. Powell steps out. He's trying to slow down Ryan. Powell is now back in. Brody up with the target. The 2-strike delivery. Another fastball. Strike 3 is called. It was on the outside corner, and Ryan zipped that fastball to Powell's knee. He's faced 3 men, and he's retired 3 toughies. Flair, Frank Robinson, and Powell on a looking fastball strike. The batter now is Brooks Robinson, who is 0 for 3 today. He has 1 hit in the series. The wind-up by Ryan, the right-hander's pitch. Foul, straight back to the screen. A lot of celebrities, Hollywood people, and television personalities here at Shea Stadium, New York, including the very funny Jerry Lewis we just noticed downstairs. 1 strike to Brooks Robinson. Backs off. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 gone in the top of the 8th. 1-1er. Fastball, check swing, pop up. It's drifting foul to the upper deck. Ryan rifled that fastball and kept it tight to Brooks Robinson's letters, and he could not check the swing in time. So it's a ball and 2 strikes. It's Ryan on the spot trying to protect the Met 4-0 lead. It's Brooks on the spot trying to get a base hit. The 1-2 delivery. A check swing foul. He curved him inside. Brooks took a half swing and fouled it back. Nolan Ryan, only 22 years old. Rocks back, kicks, and here's a 1-2 pitch. Here's a foul to our right and headed right back into the camera area to our right. So Brooks Robinson has been getting around late on Nolan Ryan heat here in the top of the 8th inning. Ryan fiddling with the peak of the cap, nervously watching Brody's wig-wagging. He delivers, and Robinson backs off on the shoulder-high fastball. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Elrod Hendricks is on deck. Top of the 8th and 2 gone. The ball 2, strike 2 pitch, whipped in by Ryan. He curves inside. During the 1969 season, the Orioles were only shut out by American League pitchers 8 times. They're being blanked right now by the Mets 4-0. 3-2. Fastball cut out and missed. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and that's the 8th inning in the middle half. At the end of 7.5 innings of play, the Mets 4, the Orioles nothing.
Oh, what are those tiny whiskers there? The nuts! The nuts! Those miserable little specks of hair. The nuts! The nuts! Gillette Techmatic has news for you. The nubs are doomed. The nubs are through. You'll shave so close. Now Techmatic gets the nubs.
The Gillette Techmatic razor adjusts to shave you closer. You almost never get nicked, but you always get the nubs.
Techmatic gets the nubs.
Jim Simpson with Bill O'Donnell back at Shea Stadium in New York at the last of the 8th inning. Looking ahead to the 9th, it'll be Hendricks, Johnson, and Belanger, the 6, 7, and 8 batters for the Orioles, who trail 4-0. But I'll caution you that in the first game, Hendricks, Johnson, and Belanger were accounted for 3 runs in the first game. Bill?
Rod Gasper, who went to right field defensively in the top half of this inning for Shamsky. Gasper leads off in the bottom of the 8th inning. A switch hitter batting left-handed, and Leonard blazes one right by him for strike 1. Gasper batted .228 during the 1969 season. Had a higher average from the right side than this, the left side. Opens his stance. Outside is Leonard's next pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Leonard relieved starter Jim Palmer for the Birds in the 7th inning. He walked the first batter, A.G., and then got the next 3. Gasper on the 1-1 fouls it off upstairs to our left. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's Gasper, Cranepool, and Brody here in the bottom of the 8th inning for the Mets. Leonard's 1-2 fire. Here's a fly ball out into shallow left center field. Everybody giving it a chase, and is the left fielder Buford. It was chased by shortstop Belanger, by left fielder Buford, by center fielder Blair, and Buford got to it first for the put out in shallow left center. The batter now is the big Met first baseman Ed Cranepool. Cranepool is 0 for 3, but he drilled the ball well to right field on the liner to Robinson in the fourth inning. Looking ahead to the Oriole ninth inning as the Mets are ahead 4-0. The due batters are Hendricks, Johnson, and Belanger. The Orioles only have 3 base hits off the Mets. Here's a curve, and here's a big fly. Deep right center field. Blair going back. Blair at the fence. Over the fence. 396 feet away for a Cranepool home run. The second home run by the Mets today.
That is an important run. Maybe in tomorrow's papers or in tonight's discussions, people will say that Cranepool also hit a home run. But by making the score 5-0, as long as the Mets have a 5-run lead, the tying run will never come to bat.
Jerry Grody is thrown inside by Leonard, ball 1. Grody is 7th in the Mets order. Mets 5, Orioles nothing. That is also the 6th base hit by the Mets in this ball game. The 1-0 from Leonard. Check swing off a fastball, and it's fouled to the right of home plate. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jerry Grody. He's been a base runner twice today with a walk and a run-scoring double. 1-1er, swings and fouls it off right in front of our NBC radio booth. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Grody. Grody walked in the second inning, scored a run on Gentry's double, and doubled home Boswell in the 6th inning. Leonard leaning forward, winds and throws. Here's a line drive to right field, a long chase by Frank Robinson, makes the catch with a basket grab above the knees, right in front of the right field warning area. 2 gone in the Mets' 8th inning, and the batter is the shortstop Bud Harrelson. Harrelson, like Grody, has been a base runner twice with a walk and a base hit up the middle to center field. It was Harrelson and Grody aboard when Gentry doubled and both scored. Low fastball from Leonard, ball 1. The Mets exploded to begin the ball game in the first inning with A.G.'s leadoff home run. They've exploded again with a long ball by Cranepool here in the 8th inning. There are 2 out and the bases are empty. Leonard's pitch is through the middle for a strike call. Harrelson is deep to the box. He leans towards the plate. Bats left-handed. Here's a foul ball right back of home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Harrelson with Nolan Ryan, the pitcher, on deck. 1-2 pitch from
Top of the 9th inning and the last chance for the Baltimore Orioles, who send up, as we said, their 6, 7, and 8 batters, Hendricks, Johnson, Belanger. But in that first game,
These three men produced 3 runs against Tom Seaver and led to that defeat of New York in the first game by the score of 4-1. Well, you'd have to figure that Jim Palmer, with the winningest percentage in the American League, 16-4, 800%. You'd have to figure that Jim Palmer, second lowest in the American League in earned run average, would have much the better of it against the youngster Gary Gentry, a rookie in his first World Series. It hasn't worked out that way. The Orioles have 3 outs to go. It's 5-0, and they've got to produce now against Nolan Ryan. Bill O'Donnell?
Do or die time in the top of the 9th inning. A swing and a miss by Hendricks on that Ryan fastball right into his belt on the inside corner. Nolan Ryan, a 195-pounder out of Alvin, Texas. 1 strike pitch on the way. Here's a high fly to right center field. Running on is Gasper, the right fielder. He's waiting, pounds the glove. He's got it for the first down at the top of the 9th. Mets lead 5-0, and Ryan is trying to keep them there. And now it's Dave Johnson trying to get aboard for the Orioles here in the top of the 9th inning. He was handled 3 times by starter Gentry. He is 0 for 3 on the day. Johnson bats from the right side. Belanger is on deck. Fastball, strike, delivered by Ryan. Johnson is popped up, grounded out, and flied out. He is 7th in the order. Belanger is next. 1 strike from Ryan. Curve, fouled in the batter's box. Reminder now that Game 4 of the World Series will be on the complete facilities of NBC Radio tomorrow, beginning at 12:45 Eastern Time. And all around the world on Armed Forces Radio. 2-strike pitch, here it comes, fouled upstairs way back of the plate. Way ahead of Johnson, winding again, whips in the 0-2. Fastball, here's a line drive to right field. Gasper's there. Gasper makes the catch. Gasper just flexed the knees a bit and made the catch chest high in right field. So everything from an Oriole cause now is up to Mark Belanger. Belanger has grounded out twice to his opposing shortstop Harrelson. He was one of the 3 men walked by starter Gentry in the 7th inning. 2 gone, nobody on. Belanger batting from the right side is thrown a strike. Ryan ripped that heat of his to the knees of Belanger and bit the inside corner. The 1-strike delivery. Swing and a miss for strike 2. Another Ryan fastball. It's been fastball, and an occasional breaking pitch. Ryan needs 1 strike. The Mets need 1 out to win the second game. Here's the 0-2 to Belanger. It is tight right to his left. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's 5 runs, 6 hits for the Mets. No runs, 3 hits for the Orioles. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Belanger. The windup by Ryan. Here it is. Tight for ball 2, 2-2. The Orioles must stay alive and get some runners on. They're down by 5 runs. They got only 3 hits off Gary Gentry in the first 6 innings plus before Ryan put out the fire with the bases loaded and 2 out in the 7th. Ball 2 and strike 2. Gentry, Ryan to the plate, is inside. Ryan threw it inside to Belanger to make it 3-2. So you couldn't come any closer now to a nail-biting situation between Ryan and Belanger. The pay pitch, Ryan deals, ball 4. Third stay alive. Leonard is, of course, the do batter, but he will not come to the plate. Clay Dalrymple, one of the 3 Oriole catchers who bats from the left side. Dalrymple will bat for the pitcher Leonard. Dalrymple came to the Orioles before the start of the 1969 season. They traded Deron Stone for him. Belanger leads off first base, and Dalrymple looks at Ryan's high away pitch, ball 1. Dalrymple bats from the left side. 1 on, 2 gone. The 1-0. A ground ball to the right of second base. Smothered by Weiss, throws to second and not in time. Sliding in safely is Belanger. Weiss dove backhanded and smothered the ground smash back of second base, and from a prone position through to Harrelson. They did not get the force at second base on Belanger, who was safely there. Dalrymple gets an infield base hit as a pinch hitter. He is pulled for Chico Simone as a runner. Simone is running after Dalrymple got the base hit.
And very quickly, Ron Taylor is up and throwing. You remember he choked off the rally that got Jerry Kuzman in trouble in Sunday's game at Baltimore. And Taylor up and throwing again, now joined by the left-hander McGraw.
The Orioles, with this long uphill battle in the top of the ninth inning, have 2 on. They've got 2 out. After Ryan disposed of Hendricks and Johnson on fly balls to the right fielder. Buford, the batter, has struck out, has popped up, fanned again in the 6th inning, and he was one of the 3 men walked by starter Gentry in the 7th inning before Ryan came on the scene. Simone is the runner at first base. Belanger is off second base. The infield deep to the right side. Fastball. Here's a fly ball down the left field foul line. It is curving foul. It hit the facade right beneath the second tier. That ball was about 5 feet foul down the left field foul side. And you've got to go 341 feet down the line if you hit it fair to get a home run. And Buford sliced it foul. Second baseman Weiss is tucked right inside the outfield grass. Kranepool is back better than halfway. Harrelson cheating a bit and shading in towards Belanger, who is leading off second base. The outfield is turned to right. 1 strike to Buford. It is down the middle but low.
Bill, apparently Earl Weaver feels the Orioles are still in it. He has sent a man to the bullpen to begin warming up in case we go to the last of the ninth.
1 ball, 1 strike. Buford takes slow from Nolan Ryan. 2 balls and 1 strike. Playing Buford tight at third up to the grass is Garrett, who is wide of the line. Agee is to right center. Gasper is pulled back to right. Jones is back fairly deep in left. 2-1 pitch. That's ball 3, outside low. So Ryan having control problems after getting the first 2 men in the top of the 9th inning. Walked Belanger, then gave Dalrymple too good a pitch, and he had an infield base hit back at second base. The look to the runners by Ryan is 3-1, is ball 4. The Orioles load him up here in the 9th, just as they did back in the 7th. Watt is warming in the Oriole bullpen. He is a right-hander, and the batter is Paul Blair, and Gil Hodges is walking out of the New York Mets dugout. Hodges made a walk like this in the 7th inning after Buford was walked to load the bases. Right now, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
WGY, Schenectady. WGY, Schenectady.
The difference between the right word and the wrong word, it's been said, is like the difference between lightning and lightning bug. Which brings to mind the difference between Saratoga Vichy and its drab alternative, tap water. It's a choice between a unique, fascinating mixer or the same lackluster liquid with which one washes automobiles and oneself. Saratoga Vichy in that green bottle with the vivid yellow label.
Gil Hodges completed his walk back to the dugout, and Nolan Ryan is staying in, and I'm sure Gil is telling him, don't aim the ball, just go through your normal motion. But the Orioles have loaded them up with 2 out in the 9th and trailing 5-0.
The pitch to Blair. Fastball strike. Ryan came on in relief against Blair with the bases loaded in the 7th inning and 2 out. Got 2 strikes to him, and then Agee made a diving catch of a fly ball in right center field. The 0-1 to Blair. Fastball foul to the screen. 2 strikes. Belanger is the runner at third. Simone is at second. Buford is at first base. The Mets are leading 5-0 with 2 out in the top of the 9th. Blair is hitless today in 4 trips. He is 1 for 11 in the series. Ryan ahead. Winds his 2-strike pitch. Strike 3 call. He got a change-up curveball in for a strike called at the letter. The final score of the
And we'll be back with a recap of today's game right after this message.
After the shrimp cocktail and the sirloin steak and the deep dish apple pie, right about coffee time, you know what goes great?
Yeah, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing, a real good taste. Yeah, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing.
Sure, after a great dinner, just about any cigarette would be pretty good. But would it be special? It would, if it were Winston.
Yeah, me and my Winstons, we got a real good thing.
Try it next dinner time.
Yes, my Winstons taste good like a cigarette should.
And so the underdog and the amazing New York Mets lead the Baltimore Orioles in games of the 1969 World Series 2-1, winning today 5-0 on a shutout by Gentry and Ryan and Tommy Agee the hero. Tomorrow, the fourth game of the World Series, and we'll be back on the air 12:45 Eastern Daylight Time. The pitchers, a rematch of the opening game last Saturday in Baltimore. The winningest left-hander in the American League and in the majors, Mike Cuellar of Baltimore, the winner on Saturday, against Tom Seaver, the odds-on favorite for the Cy Young Award in the National League and winner of 25 games. That's tomorrow at 12:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Our producer today was Len Dillon, our engineer, John Rice. Now, this is Jim Simpson, along with Bill O'Donnell, saying today's game has been brought to you by Chrysler Corporation, engineering with care. Your host for today, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. The Hartford Insurance Group and Hartford agents and brokers everywhere. Gillette Right Guard, America's #1 deodorant, and Right Guard antiperspirant in the silver can. And by Phillips 66, where it's performance that counts. The final score once again in the third game of the World Series, New York 5, Baltimore nothing, and this has been an NBC Radio Network production.